What's going down, everybody? My name is Gold, and you are listening to Aspects Land of a Changing Man. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. If you want to get in touch with me, you can hit me up. My email address is mplsmikid at either yahoo or gmail.com. You can go ahead and add up Aspects Land of a Changing Man on Facebook. You can go to Instagram. My name is Gold Washington on there. And I'm also on Twitter at MPLSMIKID, a.k.a. GOL. Again, thank everybody for coming out today. Today is a different episode. I wanted to do something a little different today because of what I actually got to experience. I seen the movie Us this week, and I wanted to do a review and a comparison of that movie. I mean, a lot of people are going to talk about it, and they talked about different things that have to do with it, but it was some deep stuff when it comes to that movie. Like, I watched Get Out, and it was a great movie. This movie for me was very much, if I was in a regular mind where I was just into watching a movie, it would have been boring to me. But because of the way that he put messages in there that made me, a person that likes to think, actually think about the messages that he was sending in a movie, it was actually one of the coldest movies I've ever seen in my life. And I wanted to talk about it because, it's going to be spoilers in this, but it was definitely one movie where if you were to think about yourself in another situation, you could actually see it. So the movie begins by, this little girl with her family at a carnival. And, her dad was really into, winning her prizes. He was basically having all the fun and was leaving her in the background. But when he won, she would get, the prize that she wanted. And he won her a Thriller shirt, which she was wearing like a event of Hands Across America shirt before that. So she's wearing this Hands Across America shirt, and he wins her a Thriller shirt, which she takes and she puts on. Well, he goes to another game, and instead of letting her play, he's into him playing the game. So he's like, I'm going to win her another prize. The mother is like, I'm going to go to the bathroom, watch your daughter. He was like, okay, cool. So when the mother goes to the bathroom, while the dad is entertained, the daughter sneaks off to go to a spot, and she goes down to the beach because they were at Santa Cruz. And when she gets to the beach, she sees this mirror thing, this one of those mirror room type of ordeals. Nobody's there. It's open, but nobody's there. So she decides to walk in there, and she walks around, and she runs into a mirror of her. And as she turns around, the image of her does not turn around. So then it goes into her face, being surprised. And and then the family goes into, they go on vacation. They're at Santa Cruz vacation. They go to Santa Cruz for vacation. They go to the beach. The mom is feeling uneasy about being in Santa Cruz. They wanted to go to the beach. She didn't want to go. She ends up going. The son goes on a little adventure. When he goes to the bathroom, he sees a man just standing there. And then, the mom, being a mom, is scared, looks for him, sees that he's not in the original place where they left him. She goes looking for him, is surprised, tells him not to wander off, let me know where you're going, which is normal that I see. And then they go back home. When they get home, there's they're getting ready for bed. When they get ready for bed at about 11, the daughter jumps up and says there's a family outside. And when the family, when they notice the family outside, the dad is like, all right, I'm going to go handle this, make sure everything's good. The family is just sitting there at the top of the building, and I mean, not at the top of the building, but at the top of the driveway. They separate. They make themselves. They make their way into the house by force. They meet the family. You see that everybody is a copy of that family. The one thing that got me, and then it starts, if you've seen the previews, it's the war that basically is about them surviving against against the family that looks, acts, and is them. A lot of things were in this movie. The number one thing that got me about this movie is, one, take care of your sins early, because you never know who's going to have to deal with what you've done later on. The reason that I say that when it comes to this movie is because when the ending comes, I mean, if you didn't get it early, when the ending comes, they show that the girl had kidnapped the girl and put her in her place, stealing the Thriller t-shirt that she had, putting it on and becoming her. And later on, because of all this, the stuff that has happened, the family had to deal with the drama. And not only the family, but everybody in the United States had to deal with the drama of you not dealing with what you've done in your past. See, when the girl became one of the tethered, that's what they called them. They were basically copies of. They were basically copies that humans had created to try to control people up top. So when they tried to get that to happen and it wasn't working, they abandoned them into tunnels, into underground society. So basically, they were still being these people, but they were just abandoned people because apparently the project didn't work. So then you look at the situation when it comes to that, which is like because this girl stole this other girl, put her down. The girl decided to plan her revenge upon land. And they were going to murder the people that they were copies of and then become this chain, which the girl remembered, and the shirt that she had on was Hands Across America. So as these people were erasing the people that they were copies of, they would join hands and show this Hands Across America type of deal. And it was something where the girl, that's something that she remembered, which was a campaign from 1986. So she said that we didn't want to just replace you. We wanted to make a statement towards the world. And the Hands Across America was the statement. So every time they murdered somebody that was their copy, they joined hands. They jumped into this chain, and you would see it and even at the end of the movie, it was going all across America. The other thing that I got about this movie was hating. For me, the definition of someone hating on someone else is when you sit If you can't think about a way to get yourself out of the situation, you bring somebody down and try to take their place, or try to bring someone down to your level. The reason I say that is because, as you see, as I told you, the girl didn't know how to get out of this world. But when she found a way out of this world, instead of doing something that, would have been something to where the people were exposed, or joining the girl and making it so that what is going on, like, where did you come from, like exposing yourself to the where did you come from, like, how are you a copy of my daughter? It was her just replacing the girl. Now the thing about it is, this girl became able to speak. They didn't speak, none of the tethered really spoke in the movie. They even when they would laugh or scream, it was something to, like, they were not used to the air, or they were not used to the language, so they wouldn't talk. When the lady talked, she had a screeching voice, like she hadn't talked in a really long time, and she's now able to express herself in the way that she wants to. Like, it was painful for her to talk, but she was going to do it. She told her story. She made sure that everybody knew what was going on. She described situations, but in all, it was a hurting in her voice that you knew, like, it was like a lot of effort that she was putting into speaking. And even when the girl got replaced, instead of her coming back to the world to say, hey, this is me, I got replaced, because the one thing is they knew the way out. Both of them discovered that there was a way out. And instead of just walking out into the world and becoming a part of society, or letting society know what is going on, they wanted to replace each other. And it was a painful thing as you think about it, because it didn't have to happen in that way. I mean, it wouldn't have been a movie if it didn't have happen that way. But it was something where, instead of the girl saying, hey, you know what? I'm replaced. Let me go get my family back. I know my address. I know, or let me go talk to somebody and tell them that I'm lost. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I need my family back. She ended up staying down there and planning to come back up in a way where it took her 20-something years to come back. And not in a way where it would be beneficial, like, hey, you know what, let me plan to, do it. I was planning revenge. Sometimes we get stuck in situations where people that may have taken what we got, or pushed us out the way to become in front of us, we hold a grudge against them. And that will be something that you will hold on to for a long time. I mean, there was so many messages within this movie. Like, yeah, she was planning. I mean, this happened in 1986, and it's 2019. I don't know I don't remember if they pointed out what year it was in the movie, but they said she's been planning this for decades. And if you've been planning this since 1986 and it's 2019, like, that's a long grudge. I remember that Royce D59 said one of the realest lines to me. He said, a wise man once told me that holding a grudge is like letting somebody live inside of your head rent-free. So for 20-something years, you stayed where you were at, only to plan revenge upon this person that did not understand how to do things. Like, we live in a society today where, we want to cut people off. We want to, we want to leave people where they're at because they might not be where we want to go. And that's dangerous because of the fact that, a lot of people are afraid of getting left behind or forgotten. And they might hold a grudge against you. Some people some people don't know any other path but to do revenge. I see a lot of times that, when some mistake happens, especially when you have like narcissistic tendencies or you're a narcissist, like something has to be blamed on somebody else. Like, it has to be to where it has to be somebody else's fault that you're in that position or that you're doing what you're doing to that person. But really, if you think about what you're actually doing, what you're actually doing, you can see, like, I don't have to live this way. I don't have to live with someone holding a piece of my life. I heard it today. They said that if you are going to hold grudges, the thing that you are actually giving up is your future. Because you are thinking about them instead of thinking about ways that you can actually become better. Like the ways that you can rise out of the situation. And that's, for me, that's like hating. Like you actually see something in somebody else that you don't see in yourself, and the only way for you to feel good about it is to bring that person down to your level. We live in a society today where a lot of people do step on a lot of people to get to where they got to go. Or somebody has an excuse of who is holding them back from becoming the greatest them. Me, I stopped blaming people. I did blame people for a long time. I always, with my work ethic, wasn't good. With the way I handled relationships, wasn't good at all. With the way that I did a lot of things, it wasn't as great as I could be. And because either in my ignorance of not knowing how to do better or my willingness to not do better, I would find somebody to blame. And that is something that is dangerous because it kept me from actually being able to become as intelligent as I was. I was afraid for a long time to show that I was really intelligent, the information that I had, because I felt like people would leave me behind or they wouldn't want to be around me because basically I don't feel they would understand or want to hear about stuff I actually wanted to talk about or how smart I actually was. And it's something, and that's it's something because it made me feel like I had to dumb myself down to become something that everybody wanted to be around. And I did it wrong, but it was wrong. It was wrong for me to actually have to think that way. And it's something because it makes me wonder where I would be or what type of person I would be if I would actually opened up to who I actually was instead of who I thought everybody wanted me to be. But getting back to the movie, it was a lot of stuff. Like if you go back to the beginning, it was more of, do you care about anybody else but yourself? See, the reason that the girl was so the girl was able to be taken easily was because nobody was watching her. The mom was having conflict with the dad was having fun. So the kid was able to explore their curiosity upon going where they weren't supposed to go. What if the dad would have turned around and let the kid play instead of him playing himself? I know it wouldn't have been a movie, but at the same time, would she have been able to be taken from the society that she was in? If the mom wasn't into being as mad as the dad because of, the situations of her emotions that she was having towards him, would she have cared enough to not want to go to the bathroom without taking the girl with her? When I was a kid, I know my mom used to take us into the bathroom with her if she was mad or not. Or we had to stand, when I got old enough, I had to stand outside. But I know that when she felt like we needed to be watched, we were with her. But I don't think that that lady was really caring about their emotions, caring about anything but her emotions at the point of time, which lets a kid know that they can do whatever. And it jumps into the family being there, and it was like the kids are cussing. They're allowed to say what they want to say. The parents weren't really enforcing the behaviors that they were having. And then you go back to the mother, because of the fact that she did what she did. It was causing the kids having to go through situations that really kids shouldn't have to go through. Murdering someone. I mean, the kids had to, fight people. They had to actually go in with the mindset of somebody has to die in this situation. And it was something to where the mother, because of what she had to go, what she went through, and never really dealing with that situation, had to cause the kids to have to go through. It was when you look at the situation where people look at people different when you act different or when you seem different. When you looked at the society down that was down in the tunnels, they didn't act as we would call normal. When they walked, it wasn't the same type of walk that people up top had. They didn't talk. They didn't breathe the same air. And the lady was saying, like, when you got to experience the air up here. You guys eat things, and you can take things for granted that we don't get to experience. I mean, they were eating raw, cold rabbit when they were hungry. We take for granted a lot of stuff, and, when they got up here, they wanted to experience everything. Since she knew what it was like to be up top, she knew what was going on. So when she had to experience what the people down low had to experience, especially when she felt like she had no choice but to stay there, it was something to where she was like, man, I now appreciate what you guys have up top. I appreciate the air. I appreciate the sun. I appreciate the food. I don't think you guys appreciate it as much. But that's scary. It's a scary thing to even think that we take for granted what we actually are able to do, the things that we're able to experience and feel and, like just do. Like me today, I was carrying home groceries. Went to go get me some groceries. They were kind of heavy. And I was like, man, both arms were heavy. I even had my backpack with food in it. And I was carrying it. And, when I get off the train, I have to walk about 7-8 minutes to get to my place. And a guy in a a guy in a not a wheelchair but a automatic chair, mobile chair, rolls past me. And in my mind, I was like, man, how easy would it be for me to have one of those right there at this time? Automatically, because I seen this movie, because I understood the stuff that was going in it, it made me actually appreciate. It made me think the opposite of what it is, because I've seen memes before that say appreciate what you have, but I really didn't. You really go through moments where you look at somebody that may look like they have it easier, and you're like, man, my mind changed when I thought that, because 1, I'm strong. 2, I'm walking. 3, I'm getting everywhere that I need to go. I can do whatever. If I sit here and I base my life upon me thinking that it would be easier for me to be in these mobile chairs, I might lose my legs and end up in one of those mobile chairs. Then what would I be able to think?